Today, you will hear from NCI SBIR Program Director and AAP Program Manager, Patty Weber. Patty, can you kick us off?
Thank you very much, Lisa, for the introduction and for going over the housekeeping issues. I'm happy to present this today, and thank you all for joining this webinar to learn more about the NIH SBIR STTR Applicant Assistance Program. So I'm just going to cover, we've covered the housekeeping. So this slide shows you the institutes at the NIH that are participating in AAP, and the contact information for all of those representatives are here on this slide. So these are folks that you will be able to reach out to regarding questions for their specific institute. So I'm going to talk a little bit about SBIR and STTR for those of you who might not be familiar with the programs. These programs are congressionally mandated. The Small Business Innovation Research, or SBIR program, is a set-aside for small businesses concerns to engage in federal R&D with the potential for commercialization. So all federal agencies with an extramural research and development budget over $100 million must set aside 3.2% of their agency budget for the SBIR program. And those agencies are listed there on the right. And the STTR program, or Small Business Technology Transfer Program, is also a set-aside program that is intended to be between small business concerns and U.S. research institutions, also with the potential for commercialization. And federal agencies that have an extramural R&D budget over $1 billion must set aside 0.45% of their budget for the STTR program. And at the NIH in fiscal year 20 that just ended, the total budget was $1.18 billion for these programs. There are three phases. The SBIR and STTR are three phases, except for this direct to phase 2 is SBIR only. So there's a phase 1 that's intended to fund proof of concept for 6 to 12 months. And this is the phase in which the AAP is intended to help you. And that's where the eligibility comes in. It's only when you are applying for a phase 1 SBIR or STTR grant. And phase 2 is a little bit larger budget, and it's intended to fund research and development, and that's where a commercialization plan is required, and the timeline is up to 2 years generally. There is a phase 2B program at the National Cancer Institute. We call our phase 2B a Bridge Award, and it's intended to get you over the valley of death and closer towards phase 3, which is commercialization, where there is no SBIR and STTR funds available for that. But the phase 2B program is available in many of the NIH institutes, and that's something that's institute-specific at the way it's managed. And it's intended to fund technology validation, clinical translation. And at NCI, we expect that applicants will secure substantial third-party investor funds, and we allow up to $4 million over 2 to 3 years. So this table at the bottom shows you the award sizes that are generally available for phase 1 and 2. Standard award for phase 1 is $150,000. The congressionally mandated hard cap is $252,000. The phase 2 can go up to 1.6 or so, but there are waiver caps that the Small Business Administration has given to all of the NIH institutes that allow applicants to exceed the hard cap budget. So you want to take a look at the waiver topics, and the link is provided there. At NCI, we cap our phase 2 at $2 million, but as I said, it does vary by institute. There are 6 registrations that are required before you can submit a grant application. So I want to bring these to your attention, and I recommend that you get started on securing these registrations as soon as possible so that there aren't any issues if you're accepted into the AAP. We don't want you to be hung up by not getting one of these registrations in place. So this slide shows you the scored review criteria once you submit an application. It covers, the reviewers will cover significance. So they want to know, does your product address an important problem? And does it have commercial potential? And is there a market pull for your proposed product? You're going to be reviewed on your approach. So are your design and methods well developed and appropriate? Are problem areas addressed? And you also want to make sure that you discuss potential pitfalls and alternative approaches to how you're presenting how you're going to achieve your specific aims. Reviewers are also going to look at innovation. How novel is your technology and product, and the approaches are they proposed to test its feasibility? They're also going to review the application on the investigators. So are the investigators, the collaborators, and the consultants appropriately trained and capable of completing all the project tasks? So this is an important point that you want to discuss these their capabilities in the biographical sketches that are provided and the personal statements that the investigators can make in those biographical sketches. Reviewers are also going to review the environment. So does the scientific environment contribute to the probability of success? What are the facilities that are available to do the work? And then they also will comment, even if it's a phase 1, on commercialization. So you don't have a commercialization plan, but you want to make sure that you include enough information to show the reviewers that the company does have a business strategy and there's a potential for success, and that you understand the potential market for the product that you're developing. So the NIH Applicant Assistance Program, it's a free application preparation assistance program, and the main goal is to provide a mentor for the applicants with that have a great technology but little NIH experience and limited NIH experience in their network. And as Lisa mentioned, the application period is open today, so you can go to the link provided there, sbir.cancer.gov/AAP, and see the application now. And it closes December 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, not your local time. So what does the AAP provide? So it provides phase 1 SBIR and STTR application preparation support and review. It does not provide you with a grant writer. It provides you with specific aims page review and advice, but it does not provide you with research plan development. So that's where you must have the right team in place to help you prepare that research plan. We will review the application with you and go make sure you have everything in place, but you've got to have your team to help you with that. And it does provide you with submission process coaching. So the small business is responsible to get those registrations in place to make sure that that you can get the application submitted. So there are 27 institutes and centers at the NIH, and they're listed here on this slide. And the ones highlighted in red are the participating institutes. So these are the institutes that are participating in the Applicant Assistance Program. So in order to apply to this program, your technology must fit within the mission of one of the participating institutes. This slide shows you the AAP timeline. We run 3 cohorts per year. There's a cohort going on right now that is preparing the participants for the January 5th deadline. So what you will be applying to is for cohort 2, and that will prepare you for the April 5th, 2021 deadline, and that will be followed by a 3rd cohort that will prepare you for the September 7th, 2021 deadline, or actually probably September 5th. So 3 cohorts per year. So keep that in mind. If you don't think you can make it this cohort, there is another one that will follow. So eligibility for AAP, it's fairly simple. You have to have no previous NIH SBIR or STTR awards granted. You can have already submitted one, but if it was not selected for funding, you can apply to the program. And if you're accepted, then your assigned mentor or coach will work with you on resubmitting that non-funded application. So we are particularly interested in applications by individuals currently underrepresented in the biosciences, although this is not a requirement for the program. So we are interested in women-owned and run businesses, minority-owned and run businesses, and small businesses operating in an underrepresented state. These are called IDEA states. This slide shows you the recognized IDEA states. They're highlighted in blue. So the AAP application is pretty simple. There's a designated AAP application portal, and you answer a series of structured questions, and then you upload your supporting documents, for example, an abstract, and then you submit. And I want to emphasize again, the deadline to apply is 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, December 10th. And here's the link to the application. And you, as I said, it's open. You can take a look at it now if you wish. So what are we looking for? So in the abstract, you want to make sure that the unmet need is clear, that the technology is clear, and how the technology fits the need is clear, and that the technology has a realistic commercial potential. So in terms of the current state of your technology, you want to provide a brief description of the preliminary data that you already have that supports your technology. And then you want to talk about what are the milestones you're currently working on. And then what milestones, or we call those specific aims, are you seeking SBIR or STTR support, particularly if it's different from your current milestones. So at the National Cancer Institute, I am the representative that you can reach out to. At NCI, we have a couple different funding mechanisms, grants and contracts. Under the grant side, most of our applications come in under the omnibus solicitation. So that's an investigator-initiated funding opportunity with 3 receipt dates, January, April, and September. We also have a few targeted solicitations that are focused on NCI gap or priority areas. And these can have the same submission deadlines of January, April, or September, but they can also have variable receipt dates. And NCI participates in the contract funding mechanism. Contract topics are typically NCI priority areas that have a strong potential for commercial success and potential for small businesses to fill that need. And we do only have 1 receipt date for contracts. They're solicited in mid-July, and the receipt date was just this past October 26th. So it's about the mid to late October is the receipt date every year. So just to make you aware of that. So what's NCI looking for? We're looking for an innovative solution to a significant unmet clinical need. But this solution also has to have a significant commercial potential. So we encourage proposals from startup companies that are too early for private investment, but also from established small businesses that are seeking to pursue new projects. So something that's been on the back burner, but what they would like to move forward. That would be a good opportunity to use SBIR funds to move that technology. This is a breakdown of NCI's SBIR STTR portfolio, approximately 475 active awards. In FY19, NCI funded $173 million in SBIR and STTR, 86% of which were grants and 14% contracts. As you can see, that the majority of our portfolio is devoted to therapeutics, but with about an even split between in vitro diagnostics, images, and devices. But we also cover cancer biology, so research tools, cancer control, and epidemiology. This is where health IT and digital health falls. So the National Institute of Neurologic Disorders and Stroke, or NINDS, is represented by Emily Caparello, and her email address is here. And what they're looking for is their mission encompasses hundreds of neurologic disorders. It covers stroke, epilepsy, neurodegenerative disorders, spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, neurogenetic disorders. And you can see there's a link in that upper quadrant there that shows where you can see these areas of interest. They have a broad scope. They have approximately $70 million in annual funding for SBIR, STTR. And in phase 1, your feasibility studies can include bench research, device prototyping, preclinical research, and a non-clinical trial. There are some exceptions that you will want to note. In phase 1, they do have the hard cap of 256,131, and with a waiver, you can request up to 700,000, but not more than 500K in 1 year, and the duration can be 6 to 24 months. So this just shows you that there's a little bit of difference between the way that institutes manage the program. And the majority of their applications do come in through the omnibus. There are a couple other funding opportunities that you can see here, the HEAL Initiative and the BRAIN Initiative. So the National Institute, National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, NHLBI, the point of contact there is Stephanie Davis, and her contact information is here. So NHLBI, they're looking for commercially promising, innovative products to prevent, treat, and diagnose heart, lung, blood, and sleep-related diseases. As shown here, most of their applications come in under the omnibus solicitation, and you can see the breakdown, also highly therapeutics, but also diagnostics, devices, research tools, health IT. The National Institute on Advancing Translational Sciences, or NCATS, is represented by Lily Portilla, and her email address is here. So NCATS, their areas of interest, their mission is to transform the translational science process so that new treatments and cures for disease can be delivered to patients more efficiently. And their topics of interest are listed here: preclinical drug discovery and development, biomedical, clinical and health research informatics, clinical dissemination and implementation research. And again, most of their applications are coming in under the omnibus with the standard deadlines. The National Institute on Aging, or NIA, is represented by Joy Tolliver. And their areas of interest are in Alzheimer's disease and Alzheimer's disease-related dementia, and age-related change in brain function. They also focus on aging in place, age-related diseases and conditions, and cover research tools. Again, a lot of applications are coming in under the omnibus, and they do have Alzheimer's disease and Alzheimer's disease-related dementias focused funding opportunity announcements. So be sure and take a look at those. And you can see on the right here a breakdown of their portfolio. And certainly do reach out for Joy if you have questions about their what they do focus on funding. The National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, NCCIH, is represented by Marav Sabri, and her contact information is here. So NCCIH, what is their priority? The mission is to define the rigorous scientific investigation, the usefulness and safety of complementary and integrative health interventions. For example, mind and body approaches and natural products, and their roles in improving health and healthcare. So you can see some of the examples of mind-body approaches include meditation, yoga, tai chi, acupuncture, and the areas of research that would be funded are listed below. Natural products can include botanicals, herbs, probiotics, prebiotics, dietary supplements, etc. And again, there's a link here on the slide, which you will be getting copies of these slides, but the link will show you the topics of interest for NCCIH. The National Institute of Nursing Research, NINR, is represented by Chris Bowe, and his email address is here as well. So what is NINR interested in? Their scientific areas covered is symptom science, personalized health, self-management, wellness, and palliative care. Their priorities, bolded here, are digital health and health IT. They also are interested in assistive robotics as well as medical devices. So do reach out to Chris if you have any questions about the kinds of research that NINR will fund. The National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, NIEHS, is represented here by Ravi Ravichandran. So NIEHS, their topics of interest are pretty broad, as you can see from this slide. They want to fund state-of-the-art technologies for environmental health sciences. It can include exposure assessment tools, nano and EHS and safety intervention technologies, education and outreach, biomarkers of exposure and response, toxicity screening and modeling. So this is very broad, so if you do have questions about what NIEHS will fund, you should reach out to Ravi in advance of submitting an application to AAP.
Thank you, Patty, and panelists, for sharing your expertise. I hope we were able to deliver valuable information about the Applicant Assistance Program. Again, the deadline to apply for this cohort is December 10th. So please send in your application. As Lara said earlier, the application is not very long. So please go into sbir.cancer.gov/AAP to start the process. The webinar slides will be made available after the webinar and will be distributed with the feedback link via email. And the recording of this webinar will be made available on the same website, sbir.cancer.gov/AAP, in about a week. All right, that will close today's webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Lisa, for moderating.